Hello, saver. Whether you're saving for that trip to the tropics or saving for an emergency, now is the time to take advantage of Wells Fargo's savings options. Wells Fargo offers savings accounts that can help you save towards your goals. So, what are you saving for? Visit a Wells Fargo branch or wellsfargo.com/save to open a savings account today.
Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
Welcome to the Fasting Focused Lifestyle Podcast, where each week I will be discussing all things fasting and how it can become the most valuable tool in your personal toolkit so that you can live a long, healthy, and meaningful life. I'm your host, Vicki Sharon, and thank you for joining me. Welcome and thank you very much for coming back to my channel, the Fasting Focused Lifestyle Podcast. My name is Vicki, as you can hopefully by now assume and realize. Thank you so much for coming back. If this is the first episode that you've listened to, highly suggest you definitely want to check out the previous episodes to get a real good firm grasp on where I come from, what I'm all about, how to start a fast like right out the gate, and then it'll compound on top with today's podcast that I'm actually also recording live on my Facebook for the social interwebs to have visual as well. The more avenues thrown out there, the better. I feel like the more people ear holes I can reach, the more effect these ripples can make. So, woo! So today's episode, as you can see, is, stuff that really happens. That shit that no one ever told me would happen with fasting and losing weight. I have been making like a mental list, jotting things down. Maybe I'm not the only one that does this, but on my iPhone, the little notepad area where you can just write like little notes, or you can use it for your grocery list, your to-do list or whatever. I have a little document, a running and living document in there of just little things that I've noticed throughout my entire journey, which is, coming up on, holy moly, tomorrow is going to be 3 years that I've been doing this, August 9th. Wow. Like I said, I started my journey August 9th, 2018, have been fasting in some form every single day since then. But taking log and note of these things that happen, not just in a physical sense, but also mentally, emotionally, hormonally, behaviorally, how much a fasting lifestyle has that domino effect, something that you didn't think right out the gate would happen, but yet you're making these small changes that add up over time. You're just going to see positive effects from that, just as a result of doing this. And it's a beautiful thing to see and to experience in your body, that transformation, that that you're in control of this, that you're the one putting in that daily effort to make those changes. Like I said, not just physically, but emotionally, hormonally, behaviorally, and just it can change every aspect of your life that you you don't realize how much they can snowball and get in a bigger, wider, more positive, just explosive kind of sense. The first thing, though, I want to cover, I'm going to go over things in a physical sense, and then we're going to talk about things that happen internally, emotionally, behaviorally, and all this stuff. So externally and physically, just a little thing that in the fasting community, there's this saying that never trust a fart. And there's a reason for that. I'm not going to go into too much because I didn't put any oh boy, sensitivity warning for bodily fluid talk and all this stuff. So, there's your warning. But I'm not going to go talk about it because that's gross. But essentially, understanding that when you're in a fasted state, or if you're in the process of breaking, or wherever you are, to don't feel like you can just like, whoop, let a little fart, whoop, squeak out. Like, no, hurry up and get your butt to the bathroom, because chances are, depending on what you're wearing, it could be something that could become visible. And I just want to save you that heartache and trouble and maybe potential sadness later. Because we're not about that. I want to help like get happiness spread and everything like that. So besides never trusting a fart, one of the things I didn't realize I had started to learn and know about, but this thing called autophagy. And I'm not going to go into it too much because I do want to devote an episode entirely to autophagy and talk about that a little bit more in depth. But in a nutshell, autophagy within the fasting mindset is allowing your body to basically use the stored, excess dead cells in various parts of your body, whether they're just inactive, if they've been damaged, if they're, potentially toxic, filled with like bodily chemicals, maybe that have been absorbed from foods you've eaten, places that you've been that have been absorbed through your skin, whatever the case may be. But your body wants to be able to use your stored body resources for energy when we are in that fasted state. So especially if you're on those longer extended fasts and you're not consuming food for more than 24 hours at least, your body is going to be able to break down those old, unused, damaged cells. And the body knows how to use them and break them down for fuel. And by doing that, these beautiful things happen with our body. So not just are you able to use your stored fat resources for energy, obviously losing weight is a byproduct, but also I knew that fasting was different than conventional dieting with measuring calories in and calories out. But it's understanding that by allowing your body to use what's already here for fuel, you have very minimal. I'm not saying I have none, because by no means like that. I have surpassed my expectations that I had for myself with what my after body was going to look like. And yes, I am pretty open and candid. Like, I've still got a little bit of loose skin on my arms, but in a sense of where it was when I started out, like my arms were probably to about, like the way that my measuring metric was always like, I would take my hand and then spread my fingers out as wide as they could go. And the width from the tip of my pinky to the tip of my thumb, that was like how wide my arm was. And it was something that I was always very aware of, like things that we know are body dynamic and how we feel and physically how we fit into different places, how we think about where we're going to sit when we go into places that we frequent at whether it's grocery stores, restaurants, cafes, libraries, subways, trains, our friends' vehicles, relatives, whoever, that's stuff that you think about beforehand. But with losing weight with the and having autophagy really just like minimize the amount of loose skin that I've got on my body, I never thought that was something that I would be able to have. Of course, I've seen all these shows that have massive weight loss, like the My 600-Pound Life and all that stuff. And you see the blank, like the actual fold of skin that they have. And I can't express how thankful and appreciative I am of just the way that fasting works, and that I don't have that. I've got a little bit of, not to be like, here, look at my skin, guys, but like my midsection, this fold right here used to go all the way around, and now it's like there's like nothing there. This used to be all the way out to here, and it would go, this thing here was big and full and massive, and it would go all the way to around here. And if I were to lose weight, like calories in, calories out, I would have massive skin flaps. Like, of course, there's a little bit here, but honestly, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I feel like this is something that I've earned, that I've worked for. And man, I love it. Like, I've gotten, it wasn't like this at the beginning. It was just like, whoa, hey, what's going on? You see that gradual physical transition within your body. You feel the changes. it gets a little bit easier and easier as time goes on when we're waking up each morning and you're just like, wow, this just feels really good. You have like a really good day previous and you're like, wow, I'm feeling really good. And you see those changes, not just from the scale, but you're pulling your clothes up. Physically, you can see yourself fitting into a smaller size and you're like, yeah, I'm getting really jazzed about this, seeing your sizes go into smaller sizes that maybe you haven't been in a longer, quite a long time, 5, 10 or more years, depending on your starting weight that you began with. But when things are able to compound on top of each other and just seeing, okay, we've got minimal loose skin from fasting, we've got smaller clothes size, we've got smaller waist size, smaller weight, the way that everything can kind of stack on top of each other in a physical sense is going to absolutely affect the way that we have our inner dialogue with ourselves, the way that we feel comfortable in our day-to-day activities and how we present ourselves in a general public sense, realizing that although they may be something that you think of in a separate sense, it is things that drastically affect one another. The way that we see ourselves in our home private setting is definitely going to affect the way that we see ourselves publicly and vice versa. So autophagy and the extremely minimal loose skin that I've got, I can't express how awesome that is. It's just an amazing byproduct of this lifestyle. And it's such a beautiful thing that I wish were more widely known. So I'm doing my part to spread awareness. So yay, autophagy. Woo! Yes. So along with autophagy and your body's ability to that self-cleaning oven where it's like cranked on high, so no food in the system, all the literature out there, like in Dr. Fung's books and other credible fasting information that's out there, will tell you that when you're consuming an extremely low caloric restrictive diet, your metabolism will go way down versus when you're not consuming anything and allowing your body to be in that fat burning mode from using your body's stored fat resources for energy instead of the extremely restrictive, minimal caloric amount of food that you're eating. Your metabolism revs up crazy. If you don't believe me, look it up. It's out there. But as a result of your metabolism being ramped up like that with no food in your system for at least 24 hours or more, so many other things in your body, in addition to that autophagy, will take place once you hit your stride. And by hitting your stride, there's a term called fat adaptation, or being like a fat burner versus like a sugar burner. And again, that's something else I'm going to talk about in another episode. But with your metabolism ramping up when you are in that fasted state, you are going to see phenomenal changes with your skin consistency, like I said, with that autophagy. So the feeling and texture of your skin is obviously going to change. Your hair and nails are going to grow like crazy. I know for myself, I was cutting my fingernails almost every week. I like to keep my fingernails really short because I do a lot of art. So for me, I like to have that like really, really short fingernail. But when I notice that it's starting to like hit or clip the corners, or like, when you're pulling that nice fuzzy blanket up and you're like, and because it catches a little sliver of your nail, catches on that really fuzzy blanket, like these ones that I've got behind me, when it catches on a fuzzy, it's like nails on a chalkboard, right? Yeah, can't stand it. So hair and nail growth grows like crazy. I'm having to get my hair cut more often. My hair is out of control right now. We're living my best curl life right now. But I've noticed my hair is so much more full and thick now versus all the years ago when I did a kind of like, I don't even know if it was like to a plan, but it was just extremely caloric restrictive. I was obsessively working out like all the time and thinking that, making these, I'm going to go spend hours working out. That was going to outdo any horrible choices that I made in a dietary sense. You can't outrun and out-exercise a bad diet. I can't stand the word diet. As a side note, I can't stand like, oh, my diet, this. When I hear the word diet, I think of a vegetarian diet or a plant-based diet or a carnivore diet. Like, it's a way of eating. And it gets such a bad stigma because that's how our society has kind of been like, diet, blah, like, we shouldn't call it. I want to say it was like a comedy special that I saw with Kanye West with, maybe it was David Letterman. Correct me if I'm wrong. But he was saying something about diet. And I want to say he was maybe even talking about intermittent fasting. I could be wrong. Fact check me on this. I may check it also later. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. But anyway, he said, we shouldn't call it a diet. We should call it a live it. Because it's like, boom, that's like another thing we should shift. We should flip, right? But my hair had just filled in so much more than all the previous times where I was doing extreme caloric restriction, extreme calorie deficit, restrictive, whatever you want to call it. I had horribly thin and just frail, brittle hair. Like, it would break all the time. I would see clumps of hair come out in the drain. I do remember this happening a lot when I was doing a ketogenic based partial meal replacement weight loss program. It fell out a lot during that as well. But my hair is just, it's out of control right now. My curls are like, we are in charge now. All right. I'm just going to have to like let them live their best life here. So just kind of rolling with it. But yeah, hair, nails, that improved. The skin consistency definitely improved. Oh, and another thing I noticed too, that I actually surprisingly didn't write down, but it just popped into my mind. So I used to have the little like planter's warts, like the little wart thingies. I remember having some on my feet, and I had a little one on my finger here. And I don't know if you can see here, but it used to be like right there. And there's nothing there. There's absolutely nothing on my finger. And it was there for a very long time. And I've also dug and tried to research like why these kind of things come up. And a lot of these things, these abnormalities, these breakouts with our skin, with our digestive system, they all have correlation and ties with either sugar or the dairy that's out there, how it's just filled with so many artificial ingredients and hormones and sugars, and it's just everything tied in together makes this like chemical shitstorm essentially inside of us. And then we wonder why things go haywire. So besides physically losing and seeing all these changes as a result, like I mentioned, the autophagy, hair, nail growth, also I briefly touched upon before, but man, being at a smaller clothing size, I kind of had an idea in my head where I would be in the sense of like, okay, I know for this is my height, that's a factor that's never going to change. My weight is something that I'm minimizing, and realizing that obviously as the weight comes down, the clothing size also comes down, but not realizing, I had in my mind, okay, I feel like I could potentially be like a size 12. I think I was just kind of like idolizing in my mind. I remember growing up and seeing that my mom was in like different sizes and stuff. And I want to say I remember hearing her say that she was a size 12. I remember personally, as I was in high school, middle school to high school, that I went up in sizes like very quickly. I want to say like I was probably a size 12 for maybe like one full school year, but then it was like 14, 16, 20, woo! Like we're just rising up there. And I didn't know that this wasn't normal. I knew there was some like, obviously you're going to, increase in pants sizes as you grow up, but for it to just ascend so quickly in size, I had never been as an adult the size clothes that I'm in right now. I never thought that it would be possible, because I feel like overcoming where I was at mentally, which I'm going to get to in a minute, feeling those limitations that we allow either our self-talk to set in place for us, or externally from friends, family, just general public, when we receive, words and things heard from other people, whether it's, hey, you have a really nice, that's a pretty shirt, or, hey, so like just the demeaning words that we hear play a big role. Despite what you see with the smaller clothing size, as things slowly change for your body, your mind takes so much longer to catch up in seeing yourself where you're at. I apologize beforehand because I feel myself getting a little bit choked up, so I can like feel the tears coming. I really like growing up and feeling like there were no other outlets, avenues, opportunities for me to deal with the emotions that I was feeling besides eating them. Hey, mom, dad, whoever brought over some kind of snacks, some kind of donuts, some kind of treats, chips, cookies, whatever. And being okay with the increase in the size clothing that I was at. Again, thinking, I'll always be the big girl. It's always going to be just the big girl. And realizing that now physically at a smaller size, that how much I had to work at it and how much it's so worth it to have come this far, to have made those small incremental changes in the right direction, realizing that they do stack and add in your favor when you get to that point where you need to fill yourself back up by looking in the mirror and saying, I did it. Like physically, sometimes I'll look down at myself and I'll feel like, I feel like my legs are still the same size as they were when I was almost 400 pounds. But then, as I'm doing my laundry and I go to hold up my pants as I'm folding them, and I'm thinking, holy shit, these are my pants. Wow. And you have to stop and take a moment and soak it up and just really absorb that you did this. Like you did this for yourself. And it's just connecting the way that our body actually is to how that our mind sees our own body and physicality and feelings, and like the way that we feel in our skin and everything like that. That you've got to like stack it on top in your favor. So there's a lot of emotional and mental stuff on top of what I already said that comes out of this journey. And one of the first big things that I realized that I really came right to face with was being able to decipher actual true hunger from boredom, and knowing that my day does not have to revolve around food, and being around the kitchen and continually snacking all day. And by doing so, how much time that frees up and what that means in allowing me to regulate my time that I would have spent on stuffing my face all day mindlessly. Now I can redirect that time and energy, and I will have energy as a result, obviously. Lots of energy to other activities. Maybe there is a hobby that you've always wanted to pick up and, start. Coin collecting, something, some kind of art, if that's your jam, music, teaching yourself how to play an instrument. You can start to do that a little bit at a time, and just having that be something that complements your journey is definitely something to consider if you have not thought about that. I mentioned before about how sugar played a big role in my journey, specifically with being a person that was obsessed with sweets, like many other folks out there, I'm sure. But allowing, I know the feeling, the mouth feel, the body feel, and everything with when I was first starting out, and just changing the amount of time instead of eating all day and then just compressing that down just to 8 hours of that eating window, and then that 16 hours fasted for that first 2 weeks, and realizing, I think it was like after the first few days, that I could tell when I woke up in the morning the next day, realizing how much more significant the food choices that I make during that eating window, that it makes a big, big difference. It makes a very big difference because it's going to affect how your next day's fast goes. It's going to determine whether or not you feel like shit or you feel great, if you're super lazy or you're super productive. It's going to be from what fuel you have currently going in your body. And that's going to make a big deal. If you're someone that feels like you have to consistently have just an insane amount of sugar going into your digestive system, whether maybe you have an addiction to soda, to sweets, to chocolate, whatever your vice is, allowing that allowing yourself to slowly over time minimize the amount of sugar that you're consuming on a daily basis is going to be exceptional. Is going to be such a good change. Don't feel like you have to just go like cold turkey and just wipe out all the sugar, because I guarantee you're going to get some kind of, listen to me, some kind of hormonal response from your body saying, whoa, we haven't had any sugar in a while. You better give us something. Like we're going crazy in here. You're going to get a hormonal response if you daily consume sugar, especially if it's a habitual, time of day. You always do it in the morning, snack, afternoon, dinner, dessert, whatever. If you have some kind of habit where you're consuming sugar every single day and have been for a while, it's going to be slightly difficult. I will tell you right from the gate now, but it's not impossible. It's not. Minimize first is important. Minimize the amount that you're eating. And then you're going to see it's going to be easier to, eventually, if you're even interested, you could give it up entirely if you wanted to. Or you could just make it to where it's like a once in a while thing. Because I went through, lots of fasts. My longest extended fast was 14 days. And I remember a time of withholding consuming just like dietary sugar in general, and going back to having just a little sample or nibble of something and being just so overwhelmed and like thrown back in a taste bud feeling sensation from the insane amount of sugar, and feeling like, wow, that was just a little nibble. And to know that sugar has such a like numbing effect on our taste buds, and it pretty much makes it so you don't taste the true authentic flavors of the foods that are meant to taste great, and the natural sweetness that exists in some vegetables, and the incredible sweetness that is there in the fruits that are like, that the underdog fruits that hardly get any like, woo, okay guys, like bananas. Bananas are great, but man, they are sweet. I'm like, my mouth is watering right now just talking about all this stuff. And of course my mind like circulates on like broccoli and all that stuff too, to know the actual taste of this in my mouth is just like, she's talking about vegetables. Get ready, stomach, make saliva. Here we go. Not really. I already talked about never trusting a fart. That was good. But to kind of go on top of the physically, all the physical changes that you have going on with being in an extended fast, as well as your daily intermittent, working out while you're in that fasted state is one of the most beneficial things that you can do, especially for folks that are on a dedicated weight loss journey. Knowing that your body, when you wake up, is already in that fat burn mode, and the more physical activity that you are doing while in that fasted state, your body likes to utilize its fat stores, the stores that are already there. So if you're walking around your house or doing house chores, even laundry, sweeping, dishes, whatever, or you have the ability to go and work out somewhere or take a walk with your kids, your animals outside. Maybe you're walking right now, and if so, I'm high-fiving you. Great job. Realizing that you, as women especially, so like we have the advantage here, sorry guys, women have the advantage of being able to burn a higher percentage of body fat while working out in a fasted state than men do, and definitely want to take advantage of that. Like I said, you don't have to, it's not about going crazy with your workouts. You don't have to do all these high intensity workouts and the super mega running marathons and stuff. If you enjoy that and you've been doing them already, absolutely make it something that you can just easily integrate fasting into. If your type of physical activity is getting active with the kids, go for a walk at the park, going grocery shopping, walking around a shopping plaza, walking around a park, like whatever kind of physical activity you can do for at least a good 30 minutes a day, you're good. You're good. Your body will benefit from that. And doing it in that fasted state is going to be one of the best choices you can do to really optimize the effects of working out while you're in that fasted state. So there you go. You're welcome. All right, let's see. Does anybody have any questions? I don't see anybody yet. So on we go. I have talked about before what fat adaptation is with regards to being in ketosis and ketogenic fat burning mode and all this kind of other good stuff. But fat adaptation, Dr. Fung talks about it a lot. Being able to be in a fat burning mode is going to make your journey all the more easier. It's going to make the struggles much less a struggle. It's going to, I feel like it's going to just, it feels like you're, what's her name? Rose on the Titanic, where she's just like, oh, I'm flying, Jack. Like, that's what it feels like to me. I see that. And fat adaptation is basically allowing your body to transition from being a sugar burner from the food that you ate, making that switch over to be a body fat burner for energy. Obviously, thus causing weight loss, autophagy, other great bodily effects. And fat adaptation is going to take effect when you are integrating those at least daily intermittent fasts in some form. For me, I felt that kind of like wind in my sails feeling probably a good month to month and a half into starting. So like I said, I started August, it's tomorrow, y'all. I'm so excited. To August 9th, 2018, and it was probably end of September. Yeah, end of September is when I really started to feel like just, rocking it. I was in my groove. Like things were just going at such a great pace that that's when I was like, man, I found it. I found my sauce. I found my magic sauce. So fat adaptation is definitely something that you want to remember, that is going to be something that is going to make your journey all the more easier, more enjoyable. And like I said, it's just going to stack on top. All right. So the other thing I want to talk about is a lot of the mental journey stuff, all that messy mental things that build up our inner dialogue, the way that we talk to ourselves, the way that we perceive ourselves in society, the way that we feel others perceive us, and how all that affects everything. So just starting out, I know me personally, I was in a very stuck, dark, difficult place that I wanted so bad to be able to pull myself out of. I knew what I had done before with doing a partial meal replacement program called Ideal Protein. I had done that before. So I knew at least something in that direction would get me started. And like I mentioned in a lot of my other content and stuff that I've shared, I found that one testimonial video on fasting, and it was like I was met first with my first mental roadblock of there's no way this is going to work for me. There's no way. I already had that stigma of like, that ain't going to work. Oh my God, that's a scam. Oh my God, like this is fake. This is bullshit. But then the more I watched and I listened to his story, and then after that, there was another video, this time by a doctor. And I just kept learning and seeing that there was more to this. That, yeah, I may have been like, ooh la la, like shocked by, they gotcha. They got him with the gotcha, the clickbait or whatever it was. It got me. But it wasn't a scam. It was something that once I start taking those steps down into learning that way of life, realizing that these changes can be made over time. This is something that is going to, like I've said a lot, something that's going to add up a little bit at a time. And yes, it's going to be hard. There's going to be stressors. But I feel like there's so much more dimensions and more aspects of fasting to learn that it wasn't so just whoop, cut and dry. Don't eat this, don't eat this. I needed to have flexibility. I needed to have steps in a direction. And I love saying this because it's so true. Fasting is a tool. It's not a diet. It's a lifestyle. And it's always something that you can come back to. But it's also something that you, as the faster, have to show up for. And I have enjoyed seeing, experiencing, being on the front row of this roller coaster ride of the Vicky Sharon roller coaster ride. You know, I love it. I love seeing everything that I was able to create and change for myself. The mindset shift that happens with adapting this lifestyle into your everyday routine can be absolutely transformative. Things that I labeled as hard, difficult, oh, I'll never fix this, I'll always be the big girl. Seeing how fasting affected my life those first 2 weeks with doing that 16-8, I was able to take that statement of, oh, Vicky will always be the big girl, and go, nope, chop that up and be like, fuck that. That's not my future. I'm making the choice to not identify, not to own that, not to be that. I am not that. And realizing that I have power to make those changes. And it's not changes, I keep repeating this because you guys need to understand, because I had to understand this from that point. These changes that we make in our life, they don't have to, why am I getting upset? Woo, feel the tears, y'all. These changes that we make in our life, they don't have to be everything all at once. Small steps in the right direction will eventually get you there. And the mindset of, I can't wait until I meet my weight loss goal. I can't wait. Enjoy the moment that you are in right now, y'all. Like, right here, right now, in appreciating the work and effort that you are putting in. For yourself, for your future. This all matters. Right now matters. It matters so much. Because if you've got this mindset of, I gotta hurry up and get there. I gotta hurry up. I can't wait for this. That's toxic. That's toxic. Because it's low key telling yourself, I'm not okay with where I'm at right now. I can't wait until I get this done. I can't wait until I reach this size or reach this pant size. It's such a broken headspace, but we hear it all the time from so many other different outlets. So we think that's the way that it's got to be, and it doesn't. It doesn't. The way that I have always had my mindset since sculpting and learning, and I've learned, taken advice from others, what I've seen work for others, how I think I could integrate and implement them for my lifestyle, my path, my journey. Knowing that the steps that I'm making in each day are adding up. That my actions every day matter. So that's also going to reinforce for you why those choices matter. How you should celebrate when you're able to say no to something maybe that you couldn't refuse before, but now your willpower has increased. And now you're able to say no when somebody that maybe you work with or somebody that you see pretty frequently is like, hey, I got this. I have extra. Do you want some? No, I'm all right. Thank you, though. That's my go-to. And at first you're like, man, I bet that's really good and all blah, blah, blah. Don't beat yourself up about positive choices that you've made for yourself. Let your mind and your heart realize that these steps, these positive changes and choices that we are making for ourselves are going to add up. They are adding up. And I love saying this too. Time is going to pass, whether we take action or not. But on the flip side of that coin, wishing and hoping for that someday to come while not appreciating the day that you're in and that you've got right now is doing yourself a huge disservice. So you have to I have felt from the beginning, have to have this mindset of, it brings me to tears again. Woo. This is just a crying episode today. Woo. Having that mentality of kindness, appreciation, willingness to learn, to be okay with changes along the way, with challenges as they come up. My default setting is anytime I have a stressful situation come up or something drastic when that comes up, my default setting is to just allow myself to go right into a fast. Because the opposite, I feel like that's when it gives the emotional eating monster an opportunity to come back up and come back to life. If you've ever seen Fern Gully, when the tree's been locked up, oh gosh, what is that character's name? Hexus. Yeah, Hexus been locked into a tree, but then they come and they wake him up. I don't want to wake up my inner emotional eating monster. She can just stay. I know she's still going to be in there. I know it's something I'm always going to have to just make sure I keep low, shh, let's whisper around these parts, or behaviors also that I don't plan on going back to, but it's something that will never go away. It's a behavioral mindset, habitual change. It's a shift that's got to be made. And like I said, it's not something that's made 100% completely overnight. Woo, perfect. I'm completely healed, all better. It doesn't work like that. Our bodies don't work like that. Having every day that love, understanding, compassion, kindness, open mind, being okay with learning on the journey as you go, can make the difference between succeeding and not succeeding on your journey and feeling like you're stuck forever. I don't want that for anybody. I don't want that for you. I don't want that for you, whoever is listening. I don't want that for you guys. I know what it's like to be stuck. I know what it's like to feel like there are no options and I've tried everything and nothing works for me and just go like this. Like, again, I'm with my nerd references. I'm like on I'm up with my nerd references say. But in Harry Potter where Dumbledore takes his wand and he just goes and he just pulls that thought out of his mind or that memory. Just take that right out of your mind. Who am I today? Goodness gracious, I can't speak today. Removing the negative, this dialogue that we have and allow ourselves to just spin every single day of, I'm always going to be this size. I'll never be that size. Or, oh, she's so pretty. Or he's so, fit and good looking. Whatever spins and plays in your mind. If it puts you in a negative headspace, if it puts you in a funk, it's got to be changed. It's got to be changed. There's actions that you can take. There's steps that you can take. I can give you lots of directions. If you need any more advice and directions in that respect, I got a whole list of them. But it's something that you have to actively work on every single day. Just like working out, just like making changes in the food choices that we make. You have to work at it every single day. And you have to find an element of enjoyment, something good about the struggle. As shitty and weird and messed up as it sounds, there has to be some kind of component of enjoyment on this journey, or you won't enjoy it. I mean, it's just like the way that it works. If there is absolutely nothing that you look forward to or that brings you happiness on this journey, it's going to derail you pretty quickly. Again, this is a mindset shift, a behavioral, like fixing your behavior. It doesn't come easy. It doesn't come quick. It's a practice thing with this lifestyle. It's definitely something that can be achieved. Compassion, love, understanding, all that stuff has to work together, but the changes can be made. I may do a part 2 of this episode because I feel like I'm missing a bunch of pieces that I wasn't able to talk about. So I'm going to revisit this and I may do another episode similar to this one. So since we're almost at an hour at this point, I don't want to tie it up too much more. But I do want to thank you guys for joining me for today. I definitely appreciate every single one of you listening. And I want you to know that this is something that the way that I feel in my body, first off, is something that I never realized that I could really do for myself, that I could fix. And these changes that have come and happened as a result of my efforts in bettering my health, my situation, continue to spiral and have a ripple effect on other people's lives. And I want that to continue to grow as much as possible. So I put a lot of pride and ownership and responsibility with what I do, and I take it very seriously. So I want to thank you guys very much for joining me today and for listening, being a part of this culture, this movement that's going with continuing to advocate for this lifestyle. It matters. It matters because this is something that is extremely beneficial to the body, but has been so just brushed to the side because of our global society with how we're told that we have to eat breakfast snack, lunch snack, dinner snack, dessert, whatever. It shouldn't be like that. And I want folks to be as healthy as possible and live long, healthy, happy lives and to be there with the ones that they love. That's what matters. And if you need any help or support on your journey with fasting, please reach out to me at thefastingfocusedlifestyle.com and I will be more than happy to give you some direction. I walk the walk, so I talk the talk. And I firmly, firmly believe it when I let my folks know that I'm invested in their journey, because I care very, very much about every single person that connects with me. Whew, it gets me choked up even. And I mean this when I say that I believe in you, even if you don't. And I want to give every single one of you listening, if you can hear this right now, I'm giving you a big air hug. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the week, and I will see you guys next week for another episode. Bye, guys. The information given within this podcast is not intended or implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please consult your doctor before starting any weight loss method. Thank you. The Fasting Focused Lifestyle, copyright 2021 by Vicky Sharon.
Fargo, the new virtual assistant from Wells Fargo, makes banking faster and easier. Like this.
Fargo, what's my checking account routing number?
And this.
Fargo, turn off my debit card.
And this.
Fargo, what did I spend on groceries last month?
And that's just the beginning. Do you, Fargo? You can. In the Wells Fargo mobile app. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/getfargo.
Terms and conditions apply. Your mobile carrier's availability and message and data rates may apply. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.